Hey, it's Ricky the tie-dye bee guy here, and I'm getting ready to put a second box on a couple of nukes that I bought a couple weeks ago. They're ready for a second box, and then I'm going to do a split with some swarm cells. I hope the swarm cells are still there from the hive that swarmed a couple weeks ago. So yeah, so what I'm doing is these boxes right here are set up to be the second box on those nukes. And so what I'm starting with here is I'm just setting everything up that needs to be ready for the second box. What I've got here is these two middle frames are going to be what are going to end up going down into the bottom box. So the existing bottom box, I'm going to pull up 2 frames of open brood. That's to get the nurse bees to come up and to encourage the rest of the population to come up into the second box and to get the queen up there and continue to lay. And so these frames are going to replace those ones that come up from the second box, from the bottom box. And then the rest of these, just basically lots of room to lay. This is some old comb from a dead out. It's still clean. They'll clean it up and start laying in there. So basically I have a frame of brood. This frame needs to be cleaned up too. They have some work to do, but they'll do that. Drawn comb, or mostly drawn comb. A little bit of work to do on those for them. And undrawn comb on one side, drawn on the other, a little bit of honey there. Basically, we're not worried about giving them a lot of resources because they have the resources left over from, still in the bottom box. So they've got plenty of pollen, plenty of honey down there, storing nectar, and they've got brood. So again, just more comb to lay, more comb to lay. This one is full of sugar, crystallized honey from last year. They'll just discard that. They'll clean it out and discard it and use it to lay. More drawn comb, partially drawn comb, and more partially drawn comb. So there's lots of work for them to do. Plenty of, you don't want your bees to not have anything to do, because if it starts getting full of brood, they're overpopulated. I don't know, it just seems like a good thing to do to keep them busy. So 4 frames on each side of the new stuff, 2 frames in the middle, they're going to end up going in the bottom, 2 frames from the bottom full of open brood come up to the top, and that's it. Okay, so I'm about ready to do these 2 expansions. I got 2, this one just has feeder on the top, the other one doesn't. That's why this is different, but it's really the only difference. These 2 are nukes that were installed about 2.5 weeks ago, and I put them in here, gave them extra comb. They didn't have any comb to draw, so because of that, they're a little advanced from what I would expect a regular nuke to be at this time. So they're ready for new boxes. They're probably about 6 frames of bees, 7, 8 frames of bees right now. So they're chomping at the bit to get new boxes. So I'm gonna start on these guys. I'm just gonna pop these guys in the face with a little bit of smoke. Still have the entrance reducers on, but I'll probably take those off. So I've already got my boxes set up, the ones that I already talked to you guys about, and I'm going to get these ready. Taking out the 2 frames that are going to be the ones that go downstairs to replace the ones I bring up with open brood. Take this feeder jar off. They didn't really need much feed because they have no wax to draw. I put all drawn frames in here for them, so that really accelerates their progress. They don't need to draw any of their own comb. They don't need all that extra energy from sugar syrup. I did give them some. They were taking some, but it wasn't really necessary probably. No queen on the lid, that's good. I love this hive tool, the one with the hook on the side of it. It's great for pulling frames out. So much easier. You get the leverage A lot of people don't use them, don't like them. Just my preference. Everybody has their own preference. There's a lot of excess propolis here, so got to deal with that at first. So they've got pollen and honey all the way out to the outside frames here. I gave them some pollen patties when I first installed them. Probably about 1/3 of a pound, and maybe 1/2 pound. So just getting these frames out of the way so I can find there's some nice capped brood there. We're looking for open brood to take upstairs. Matter of fact, set this up like this so that when I put a frame from downstairs to the new upstairs box, if the queen happens to be on there, she's not going to end up in the grass. I'm not worried about looking for the queen really. I'd like to see her. I've not seen the queens from these nukes yet. This is freshly capped brood. They've laid and capped this since I got the nuke. But again, we're looking for open brood to take upstairs. The reason for the open brood is it just encourages. I don't even know if this is even necessary. I just read this. I followed it. It encourages the bees to move up into the top box, because there's open brood there that has to be tended. And so if there's open brood that has to be tended, the nurse bees will go up there and the others will follow. Queen will follow and start laying up there, so that's what we want. Some open brood there, mostly capped. Open brood there, so we'll call this our first open brood frame. Okay, good. Lots of open brood there. This will be our second open brood frame. We don't need to go any further here. There's some burr comb down here that I want to get rid of. It's in the way. So, replace these two that we just took out. The ones we set aside. So we're disrupting the brood nest, but we're not disrupting we're not putting these new frames in between open brood and open brood. So we've got some capped brood, capped brood, capped brood, then these two fresh frames, and then open brood, and probably some more open brood down there. The fact is, you don't want to put new frames in the middle between frames of open brood, because what happens is all of a sudden they just got all testy. Not too bad, but the bees need to cluster around the open brood to keep it warm, and especially since, believe it or not, this is June or late May. It's supposed to go down in the 40s, low 40s tonight, so they need to be able to keep their brood warm, especially their open brood. So you don't want to put empty frames in between frames of open brood. So we've got that accomplished here. smoke these guys down so I can get the second box on. It's the one that I took out to make room for these. All right, no queen on the bottom board there, or on the lid there. That's good. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to feed these guys. They have plenty of a good field force to go out. They have no problem. There is a flow on right now. It's not heavy yet, really, but there's enough for them to get their own resources out there and not need to be fed. That's pretty much it for these guys. The second one I'm going to do is right here. It's going to go the same way as before. And that's it. That's how you add a new box to a nuke, to an established nuke, or no matter how they were populated in the bottom. When you start a hive, you've got one box. I'm showing you what happens with the nuke. Same exact thing if you populated them with a package and they're ready to expand. Everybody has their own criteria for when to do that, but I think when there's like 7 frames of bees, it's time to move them to the top, or to give them more room in the top. All right, have fun. So there they are, the 2 nukes that we just put a second box on. They're doing really great. And then the third thing that I had to do today was I needed to put a new box on top of this, the one right there, the natural wood colored hive. They were the split from that one there. That one subsequently swarmed, and so what I did was I found a swarm cell still in there. Oddly enough, one queen has just hatched out. I saw her, but there were still 2 queen cells unemerged there that they had not started tearing into, and she had not sought out yet, I guess. Anyway, I took a frame with 2 queen cells on them, very ripe, probably ready to hatch in the next few hours. I stuck them in here. Actually, no, I stuck them in here. And I took frames from, basically I did a split. I created a nuke from this very full split that was ready to have a new box, but instead of putting a new box on it, I split it. I split it into this box with a fresh, very ripe queen cell. And so basically I created a nuke with a queen cell right there. And these guys are gonna recover very quickly. I basically put I took 2.5 frames of solid capped brood into this one with some resources, extra comb, and 2 queen cells. They'll be up and running. They'll be ready for a new box in probably 3 weeks to a month. 3 weeks. All right, that's the way it goes. Have fun.